everybody, welcome back. We're ready to go here for ESL Challenger League in South America for Season 48, and it's myself, Laz, and Paladin to bring through the action here today for a pretty good matchup. But before we get into it, Paladin, how you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm excited to be here. We haven't done a little duo action for the new season just yet, so I'm excited to get back to it. And we've got a banger of a matchup for you today, so I can't wait to get stuck into it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's talk a little bit about like the league and the format itself, and kind of just give you all a little bit of the gist of how we're here and how this whole season is going to work out, and just kind of explaining a little bit about, you know, the amount of teams that are participating and everything like that as well, right? Because there's definitely a lot to talk about. It's the beginning of the season, so lots of things that can happen. Obviously, you know, the early on stages like this makes a pretty big difference as we move into the later portion, right?
Yeah, for sure, and we can bring up that explainer bracket graphic and whatnot just to talk about what's going on with that format. And yeah, it's the same basic situation as we had in last season, season 47. And the importance of the double round robin is to find who our playoff teams will be, who our relegation teams will be, and basically whether or not you're in the upper bracket. And I can't stress this enough, especially within the South American region. I mean, this region is stacked to the nines with fantastic teams. I mean, you can go down the list as to how many solid teams there are, and you want to make sure that you have an extra chance in the competition and you don't have to immediately start off with one life in that lower bracket. I think a couple of teams that decided to forfeit a lot of their games and were forced into that lower bracket gauntlet couldn't stand the test of time. And I think that this season, a lot of teams are going to take it a little bit more seriously to try and climb the ranks as fast as possible and stay at that top end.
Well, and that's just it, right? I mean, like we talked about, I mean, this is again where teams are, you know, fighting for a big cash prize, but at the same time, they're also fighting for that spot to get into EPL. I mean, this is a really big, important piece because, again, they get a lot of good experience teams across the globe, right? So it's always a pretty good, a little bit of an opportunity. But let's kind of bring up the standings as well, because I mean, like you were kind of going into this, we'll bring up the graphic here just to kind of demonstrate what's kind of going on here, who's kind of leading the charts. And as you can see, I mean, I don't think there's really a lot of surprises for me. Like, I think the fact that Peen's sitting at a 6-0 is pretty good, and the fact that, you know, Fluxo and Red Canids are at that 4-0 as well, I think it kind of makes a lot of sense so far.
Yeah, I think for the most part, everything looks pretty solid. I think obviously the biggest outlier that you might not have seen from last season is Insanity. They came through open. This is that old Team 1 core with ID Kisa and Luke being dropped out of the team most recently. But yeah, this team is super exciting. I just casted them recently in the Thunderpick World Championship. And there's a lot to like about them. They've started off with the 3-1 record as well. The surprising thing of all this is Imperial is actually 2-2. They did forfeit against Red Canids, unfortunately, and they did lose to they lost to the Case, which is very unlike them in my opinion. I don't necessarily see them lose to that level of opposition all too much. I will add that they did have their coach standing in for them with Zach, but now they have Try, and I can't wait to see what they can provide with their new opera.
No, definitely. And I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, right? I mean, the fact that on the left-hand side, you can see there it was Imperial sitting at the 2-2. Yeah, that probably really was the most surprising, just given that when you kind of look at a team like that, you have a lot of like big name players and, you know, guys that have been able to do some pretty good things. So the fact that they're having this slow of a start definitely makes you have a little bit of a red flag. But at the same time, it's like we said, still plenty of games to go and lots of action to commence through. But let's get a little bit more into our matchup, right? I mean, this is, again, the matchup for Fluxo taking on the Sharks. And, you know, Paladin, I'm going to probably put you a little bit on the spotlight here. Is just a little bit about this matchup. Like, I mean, essentially both these teams, you know, on the base end, they're both kind of going through a bit of a rebuild, right? I mean, both teams have guys that have been on the team for 1 to 2, 3-ish months, and they're kind of going through a lot of building blocks, we should say.
Yeah, I think Fluxo are definitely further along in that rebuild process when you've had Art and Nix on this team for 2 months, whereas Sharks have just completely uprooted the idea of what Sharks were at EPL. I mean, you look at the re-addition of Gafolo back into the fold. You talk about the addition of Koala coming in from Galories. You talk about the upgrade of Pepe from the Sharks Academy roster, and that all kind of stuns me. Especially after that EPL training camp, so to speak. I mean, sure, they came out in last place in their group, but it's like you get to play three quality sides, and you learn so much as a five-man unit that I would have loved to see them carry on with that kind of that lineup and see if they can learn more from it. But they've decided to go the other route and say we can improve upon that through the sheer number of players we're adding onto the roster. And I'm very curious to see how it works because they've definitely not shown the same level of results that they did with their previous lineup.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the one thing I'm glad you bring it up too, and I mean, it kind of goes in hand here with looking at the rosters is the fact that, you know, for a team like Fluxo, I mean, like you were alluding to, I mean, they're on a bit of a streak now, right? I mean, they have been around a little bit more together. They had that 11 match win streak. They are doing quite well. They have been able to, you know, beat some decent teams. And again, when you look at that roster, you know, you have Art, you have players like Zebi, yeah, like Housie, right? Like, I mean, these are guys that are able to put up some pretty big numbers and definitely some massive impact for a team like this. So, and then that's kind of the other thing when you switch things over for Shakrs, where the results are probably a little bit more mixed, I would agree. And I think Red Cannons, I think even despite them having losses, they still were pretty respectable games, right? I mean, like a 13-10, 13-9, like these are still quite competitive. So it's not like they're getting blown out of the water against some of these top teams, but clearly there's something that needs to improve.
Yeah, I think for Sharks it'll take a much longer period of time, and for that reason, both you and I have selected Fluxo. They've also, as you mentioned, that 11 match win streak is a very impactful one. It you look at the results within those 11 matches, and you notice that they're kind of turning a corner now, Fluxo. They won against Pain in a best of five. They 2-0'd Insanity. They 2-1 Sharks. Those results alone suggest to me that this team is slowly starting to get their act together. You're starting to see the roles kind of fall into place a little bit better. And that makes me very, very excited because you look at the names on paper and this team should be amongst the top in Brazil. You look at Zevi, you see how many heads he turned in that Pain roster. There's that expectation that he's the next best opera in Brazil. Lukowski, in terms of the rifling and the X factor that he provides, is also super important. And of course, you can't forget how important art is to this whole equation, right? Being exiled from Furia in this kind of shock decision, and he was kind of very upset about it, very vocal about his exit from the roster. This is his redemption arc. This is his opportunity to kind of redeem a roster like Fluxo. And for that reason, I actually haven't gone with Lukowski in this situation. And for the reason why is just the opening factor that this guy provides. He can just kind of win rounds on his own, and that's something that is very tough to rely upon within the Brazilian scene. You don't have players like this that can just kind of win you rounds out of nowhere, especially as a rifler. So that's kind of why we went around picking him for our Kidia player to watch.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? Because again, there's, like you were just mentioning, is the fact that there is so many different players that really you can choose from. Like, I mean, it was a difficult one to, you know, kind of pinpoint on somebody. But yeah, today I think this is an interesting one to see if Lukowski is going to be able to find something big, and like you said, can be a big difference maker. So makes things a lot more interesting. And honestly, the biggest thing that you were touching base on with Fluxo is, yeah, I think the story of Art is definitely very interesting, just because I think everybody knows there's lots of attention around him, just given what was going on in the past and things now. So it just makes you wonder about the foundation of the team, and again, just kind of building those things around. But they really have reached that turning point, like you alluded to. So let's get a little bit about the Veto as well, right? Because I mean, it is going to be a best of one, and the decider is going to be on Nuke. But Paladin, is there anything for your intake on this that was quite shocking, or anything that was a big surprise?
Not really. I'm assuming this is more Fluxo's time to flex their muscles in the Veto, and leaning towards Nuke, and I do like this for them. I think Sharks have severely struggled in their entire organization's tenure, let alone this iteration specifically. They kind of have this real problem with how they approach their T sides. I think that they crutch very heavily on their CT sides. So for Fluxo, I think they just have to really keep their heads above water whenever they are on the offense, and then I think they just close it out when they switch over to that CT side. But I'll wait to kind of hold my ideas about this series until we get into the next Veto. But for right now, I think you can kind of lean maybe 60-40, 70-30 in Fluxo's favor.
Yeah, I probably would agree with that. I mean, I think in terms of Sharks, like with having 17 officials and kind of sitting at that like 6 wins, 11 losses, again, kind of all over the place against certain teams. Like, I mean, I think the one noticeable win that I was pretty impressed with, honestly, is the fact they took down like Pain like quite a while ago, where they got like 13-5, where I was like, okay, well, again, Pain is a very strong team, as we saw in the standings earlier. They're
Especially
sitting at the top
on
with
Nuke.
it. Well, especially on Nuke, right? I mean, this
Yeah.
is, you know, when you look at the win percentage in itself, it's a low win percentage for these guys. It's probably their second lowest map, the next being Inferno. So that makes a huge difference, right? So I think that's a pretty big statement. So I think this is a good indication. Like you said, I would probably lean a bit more 60-40 in favor for Fluxo if I had to guess, but anything's possible, right? And that's the thing about this region that's so exciting, is that all these teams are essentially right in the same level, and it's like any given day, something can change.
Yeah, no, definitely that is the case. I mean, we have such a topsy-turvy region when we talk about South American Counter-Strike, and I am very curious to see how the chips are put to the center of the table. I think with both of these rosters, they've got a lot to play for. This is one of those matchups where it could really impact the overall standings. And you know, there's a lot of games to play within each season, but games like this, where you kind of look at the top of the table teams, this is what separates, you know, a team that eventually ends up in the upper bracket and one that could fall to the lower bracket. And again, I can't stress this enough. As far as the last season went, things like this with the lower bracket, upper bracket conversation significantly impacted certain teams' chance to actually make that run to qualify for Pro League. And that's why we had teams like Red Canids actually come out on top and qualify in a shocking result. So I'm very curious to see how this BO1 series unfolds, especially considering the fact that both of these teams are gunning for those upper bracket playoff spots.
Yeah, and again, for anybody that's just maybe not familiar a little bit with how the season works, like we do have this best of one that's going to be occurring, and then there actually is that follow-up best of one that will be right after, right? So both these teams actually do get to play each other pretty much back to back, which is pretty exciting, and you get to go through a whole other veto process as well for the map picks and everything. So that's where, again, they get a little bit of a taste of how they're going to play each other, a little bit different than obviously the standard BO3. So it definitely raises a little bit more in terms of the veto picks and bans. So it definitely makes it pretty spicy. And honestly, the fact that this even landed on Nuke, I think, like we said, it definitely favors a little bit more for Fluxo, but at the same time, it's one of those situations where I don't think it's a heavy favorite, right? And I mean, the map pool from them on paper looks good. Like, there's a lot of strong win percentages. I think it was like Mirage, and I think it was Vertigo that are like the two lowest for them, where it's like that under 60%, but everything else is looking pretty solid. But that's only one perspective to look at here when we're looking at vetoes.
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, when we continue to talk about both of these rosters, I'm looking at Fluxo, and I have a very high expectation for this roster. They spend a lot of money, they splurge a lot on top talent, and it's a huge talking point because, I mean, with the amount of money that is put into purchasing players like Zevi, Lukowski, Art, you are putting down a pretty penny, and you're expecting prime results. You're expecting a team that is qualifying to Pro League, a team that is qualifying to lands on a regular basis, but they haven't been able to do that ever since all the way back at the Paris Major. Now is their opportunity to start turning that corner, to build on what they've been showing with this match streak. I'm very excited to see how it all unfolds here on Nuke Laz. I can't wait to get underway.
No, me as well. Honestly, the fact that we're even on this map is really exciting. I'm always a big advocate for a map like Nuke. I just feel like it's one of the best maps, in my opinion. Like, I always feel like you get some really good games out of it. They're always so exciting. And the thing is, too, is like, you know, when we talk about even history on this map, like, I mean, way back in the day, used to be all about CT side, and it was all how much, you know, consecutive rounds you can get. But now we know that T side is definitely a very big force to reckon with. So we'll find out. I mean, the Sharks are going to be starting on that T side. Fluxo going to be on the CT side, and I mean, I'm going to be putting a little bit of more eyes on the Sharks to see how much blood's going to be in the water.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, there are a lot of people that are kind of raise their eyebrows at the number of changes that Sharks made. I'm very curious to see if they can prove and justify why that is the case. Get to start on that T side, get to set the tempo of this opening best of one. And they're looking to ramp and actually exploit Nyx on this USB. He falls back straight away as they give away ramp Fluxo and look to hold on to whatever map control they have.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're going to get this site control, but again, it's a question if, you know, Nyx is going to be able to find anything on this, but really just playing patiently. I like this, but Jay's able to find a nice shot, maybe a double. Yes, indeed. Maybe looking for a little bit more too, but the bomb's going to go down, so at least the Sharks are going to be able to grab themselves a little bit of coin on this. But the CT side, they're just reigning supreme right now. They're just winning every single engagement. Even Zevy's able to find himself that double as well, leaving it just down to Pepe by himself. Now he needs to come up massive. This is a full clutch ace situation that he needs to do. Art going for the defuse, already committing to it. Halfway through, all he has to do is just keep on it, and they're going to get it done. And Fluxo, they come in with a magnificent pistol round.
Yeah, well done to Nyx for not overcomplicating things and trying to duel early. He falls all the way back, allows for Shay to come in with the rotation down into single. He finds 2 fantastic kills, a couple ones around the smokes, and as soon as that happens, when you're in that man advantage, it should be easy for the Fluxo side, especially before that bomb even goes down. Zevy's there to chime in, and Sharks just can't hit any shots to rectify that B bomb side plant. Fluxo will come out with the buy. Che on the auto shotty. Very curious to see if he can rack up some cash in that sense, but it's really just an outside play here from Sharks to see if they can catch any stragglers. But for so far, things look very good for the CT side to have a clean sheet in the second round.
Yeah, and honestly, a little bit surprising for me. Like, I think the fact that they were playing very aggressive in yard like that, you can see Art was playing ultra aggressive on red. I mean, yes, it's panning out nicely right now. He's able to find himself a triple so far, but I mean, I was thinking, you know, getting up close and personal with those pistols, a little bit of tready waters I wouldn't want to be in, but they make it look pretty swift and pretty easy. And now Koala by himself for a big clutch with a, you know, Tech 9, not much to find there. And honestly, one little bit of a casualty, not much to sweat about here for Fluxo, and a really good start. Now the guns are going to be out. This is the most key moment for Sharks.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see what that opening idea is from the young Sharks.
All
No
AKs
AWP.
full. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, we're both on the same wave here, and I was gonna say, yeah, no op at all. Just gonna be AK with full utility, and I don't actually hate this Paladin. Like, I actually don't mind it. I think it's a good way just again to get maybe a little bit more assertive here with the rifles, a bit more aggressive on it, because you can even see right now they're kind of leaning on this outside control.
Yeah, definitely so. Crossbolts are in. They're very keen on thinking there's a player close red. They expend a lot of utility because of that and actually stalls out this outer hit. But Art has nestled himself into the secret stairs instead. And I don't know if the Sharks are aware of how aggressive Art is in this situation. You'd have an inkling considering it is Art, but still.
That's a good flash.
Gauzy to take first contact. That's a very winnable duel, but RDN comes out on top. Art is there for the trade, and so is Zevy. But heavy artillery into Zevy's body means that they're going to have to be a little more passive here. But Nyx is right there to chime back in.
Yeah, this is really, really nice. Again, from Fluxo, just kind of taking these duels one by one. They're just winning these engagements. Sharks, they're just trying to go for these individual fights, but it's just not the name of the game with them right now. Down to just Koala by himself. Now, again, a 1-on-4. Zevy's very low. Critical HP, but that nade is going to do some chunky damage. Already down to 52. And Art is just sitting in this position still. Like, there's no reason for him to swing out on this. He can just post up. Koala now has to figure out new options with limited time here with less than 30. And look at even the position. I think that's even Shay, if I'm not mistaken, just sitting on the top of the roof. He's about to kill him. Like, he's just about to find a free frag unless Koala just kind of sits in this spot and tucks his tail.
He's looking like he just wants to save this gun. Okay, never mind. He's going to go for the death instead. Maybe try to take some damage out on the way. But Art is there to collect frag no less. And the outside hold from Fluxo is pretty much spotless. I mean, you've got Lukowski and Art sharing hands, linking up in the big garage. You've got Zevy as well as Nyx responding in kind straight away from the lockers. And no matter what the phases are in the Sharks' take of outside, Fluxo are there to stop it in every which way, which is not the greatest sign for Sharks when they have this plan A to start out the game, and it didn't look good at all.
Oh, it's just going to be a full rush as well. Even the Molly's just going to get stunted a little bit, but now the Tech 9 able to finally get something started here. RDN takes down the head of Nyx, and now the rotates are coming through. Lukowski, oh my, okay, he's getting a little bit of a better positioning on this, and now CT's able to find more connections. Another kill coming through, but it's only double kill that's going to be the problem here for Fluxo. Honestly, a lot of these rounds, Paladin, have been essentially only losing one, if maybe two bodies, and that's not a bad thing here for the CT side in terms of economy, right?
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, you look at across the board, Art is deathless, see that sitting at 6k, and Lucaldi's not really had to fight all too much, also sitting at 6k. This is a dream start for the CT side. They've got buys for at least a couple of rounds in a row. And fundamentally, Shakrs just don't look as involved as I was hoping for them. This is, again, the issue that I was having with this side on this map. They do struggle on this T side. But they've got Gafolo's AWP out. They're going to look to see if they can battle back with this sniper involved. But his counterpart in Zevi is the one that strikes first.
Yeah, and I love that we're getting the mix-up, too, with the op just getting placed here for Zevi. We haven't really been able to see him yet with this so far in the game. And look at the positioning that is from Art. I was just going to say behind the blue blocks. Is he going to be able to find the timing? Yes, he will. Just perfectly done. He's able to find a second, too. Oh, man, he's a thief. He's just able to take these kills away, catching them off guard. But now we see a little bit of a reply back. But look at Shay. Look at the positioning he's in. He has the high ground, but his head gets removed. Oh, my good Lord. What kind of a shot is that?
Bonker shots all the way around the map, but it's a rare miss from Zevi, and Pepe responds in kind. It leaves it all up to that ramp player of Nyx. He's got a little bit of a timing here, but he's kind of missed it. He decides to move back over, and he's just going to have to gamble. He's considering the A side as a possibility, but 30 seconds left on the clock. The Sharks can continue to pump the brakes, slow things down. I think they'll inevitably move into this A site, where they'll try to trade accordingly. But I don't like the fact that they've let this clock run this far down.
No, 100%. I don't like this either. And now they're going to be grouped up in hut. And that's an easy trade. That's an easy kill right there. Now it's about Pepe was able to find something. He will not, unfortunately, for his heroic efforts of getting that triple kill, just not able to find the round. Oh, dear goodness. I mean, that was looking really good. Now we finally got to see a little bit of a moment. Some of these players on Shark's side, you know, getting some frags, getting the kill feed loaded up a little bit, but really good positioning from Nyx. And like you said, that timing just looked like he was a bit off, but at the same time, I think it allowed him to have some, you know, extra room just for that reposition. So nicely done in the clutch situation, the 1v2. And now Sharks, again, desperate for a situation. I mean, now they have a force up of a Galil and pretty much Deagles and Tex with it.
Yeah, that is a very necessary round needed for Sharks, and with that, Fluxo continue to balloon their lead forward. Zevi can repurchase into an AWP credit to Art's bank account. And now, the young Sharks are looking to maybe cause an upset with these lighter purchases. So far, outside has been all Fluxo all day, and the trades in ramp are very efficient. A chance for RDN, but Art swings into that crosshair, finds the kill, and it's all down to Lucalzi at the back of the bomb site, but he should be all good considering the rotations from Zevi are very close by. Pepe falls, and it's only up to Gafolo. This looks like just a damage control type of situation for Gafolo here. Can't really piece together a clutch, at least in my head.
No, exactly. And I mean, this is the thing. It feels like, you know, Sharks, they get themselves a little bit of that map control, but I mean, I think the protocols that we're seeing from Fluxo are just, again, another level right now in comparison to this matchup, right? I mean, they seem to be at the right place, the right time. They're able to find themselves, even in a sticky situation, they're able to find at least a kill. Just that kind of slows the aggression down just a little bit. But now Gafolo in a very tough position. I mean, he should be able to get this plant down potentially, unless Che goes for a massive swing. Oh, nah, I mean, he's just going to reaggress on this. 20 seconds. And that's Lucalzi actually just on the other side. I thought it was Che, but Gafolo does kind of go back and forth on a decision. Just can't make the right one. He picked the wrong door. And okay, 6-0 now going to be grabbed up from Fluxo, and they're making this a bit of a steam run on the CT side.
Yeah, this is looking very solid from Fluxo. I mean, again, as you mentioned, the protocols look very, very good from the Art-led side. Sharks do get themselves another purchase here, but they're going to get Kochi on the mic, take a quick tack time out here, and discuss their options, because for the time being, it does feel like every round bar that 2v1 has been a non-starter.
And I kind of like the idea of, you know, Sharks calling the timeout. I mean, I think I honestly would have liked it a round or two before, I think, just because now it's reached a point of 6-0. But I mean, that last round too, they didn't have a ton of investment, so I thought that would have been better, but better late than never, I guess, right? I mean, this is a full gun round. Op is going to be placed here for Gafolo, so this is, again, where that timeout's really important just for them to figure out what they want to do, and they need a better game plan on this. Like we said, they've been kind of getting themselves a little bit of that RAM control, but that's it. Like, there's nothing else that they're able to find from it, and I think they need to figure out a new plan of attack.
Certainly so. I mean, I don't mind them taking a second attack timeout here at all. But let's see.
Yeah, it's a bit of a... I feel like we don't see that very often, right? We don't typically see, you know, double timeouts being called like that. I don't actually mind it either. I actually think it's a good way. Just, again, slowing things down. You know, Fluxo are definitely, you know, cooking with some premium gas right now. I mean, they are cooking. So I think the fact that, you know, Sharks are just trying to, you know, delay it as much as they can and just kind of reconfirm a few things is not a bad thing. But I mean, even Art having an AUG right now, it's like I'm going to be a little bit interested on his plan. And actually, a third timeout now going to be used. So they're going to burn through all three. So it does make me wonder, maybe an issue. I don't know. Or maybe they really just want to have a long talk. I don't know.
I think it's the latter here, Laz. I mean, I think in their heads, they're thinking that if they can't do anything on this T side, this game is over, which I don't think that's too far out of the realms of conversations, considering you're going against some of the most, like, momentum-heavy riflers in Brazil, in, like, players like Lucauzi and Art, where if they do get going, especially in the fashion that they have been right now, they can just, like, stomp you out, like, 13-5 or less, and the Sharks just want to figure all of it out right now, right here. It's a bold decision, one that I haven't seen maybe ever, but we'll see if that comes back to haunt them, if they can mount a little bit of a comeback here.
Yeah, definitely a bold one. I feel like you and I have never seen a situation like that, but I mean, like we said, their T side win percentage is quite low, considerable to their CT. So I think for them, like, they really do just need a couple of rounds to get, you know, something moving here a little bit too. A little bit of the pops of the smoke through outside from both sides, actually. Art tries to get a little bit cheeky here with the garage of the AUG. And more flashes getting utilized. And Sharks now putting a bit more attention on this yard control. Taking a little bit more time on it. Zevi playing a very aggressive angle right now inside of Hut. So again, just really putting on more of a pressure point on this. This is such a big play from them too. And now even Art's getting some intel on this. He's been able to spot one of these players just making the cross. Now it's a bit of a 2-2. Things are a little weird, and Art actually gets taken out too.
Yeah, now a lot of space is being taken by RDN. I mean, all of the big garage now being confirmed for the young Sharks means that Fluxo have to find answers elsewhere. They've got to find a little bit more map control and info as to where these lurking players have gone. And instead, Nyx is going to fall back all the way to the site. It kind of leaves everything to do for, as far as information goes, to Zevi. And Koala's been sitting in trophy this entire time. He gets blindsided. Luckily, Nyx and Lucauzi have rotated down to the lower bomb site where this hit should be coming from. But 15 seconds left on the clock. Last, they've got to go.
Yeah, this is again, I feel like I complain about this all the time. You can't just wait the clock and the time like this. 9 seconds remaining. Now they're starting to win these fights, sure, but again, man, oh man, they're making it very stressful. They get it down right to the last 2 seconds, and now Che, I mean, able to pick up the op, probably just going to save this again, a 1-on-4, no point to go for this kind of a play. I mean, I know they got a bit of money on some of these players, but again, it's not that great considering they're up by 6-0, so it's a good move. And honestly, you know, again, a good amount of work coming in from Sharks, able to find themselves around. And I was thinking it was looking pretty grim, but man, did they prove me wrong?
Certainly. I mean, even in that situation though, like, if Nick stays alive for just a couple moments longer, that round, like, the bomb doesn't even go down in that situation. I think they should be very fortunate with how that round played out. And I don't think this is one of those situations where I'm going to praise how they rotted the clock down. This is one of those where I'm just happy that they were able to get away with it to make this a little bit more competitive.
Well, they finally get rid of the goose egg, right? I mean, they're back on the board. It is going to be a full gun round one more time here from the CT sides at least. So the op's going to still be in the play, like we said, being converted from the previous round. But now do we see a bit of a switch up here for Fluxo? I mean, I feel like Art's kind of style, he does like to mix things up pretty consecutively. Like he likes to change things up quite a bit. So I'll be curious if he wants to. Yes, indeed. He actually is going to play a bit more aggressive on outside once more. Oh, man, I thought he for sure had that kill. Gafolo missing the shot. A little bit of damage inflicted on both these sides here. Some utility against Gafolo. But I think in terms of Sharks, they're actually winning that engagement so far, the battle.
Yeah, they finally pushed away Art close red. Meaning Gafolo still has room to maneuver on the top of Marshmallow. Zevi peering into lobby, has a good jump on early information. Usually just get one kill, fall away back to the site proper. And for right now, most of the hit is coming through Squeak Door. At least the aggression is.
Oh, man, that's so scary from Nyx. I mean, I think he's the one that's playing Big Garage and Gafolo just on the other side of, like you said, Marshmallow. So this is a really strong position because, again, they're not going to be able to clear him unless they, you know, really do. Flash comes in. Oh, now the Jizz is up. The timing just off by like a second, maybe two. But a great pickup here for Sharks once again. They're able to win that opening engagement. Art's already down to 18 HP, so he's critically low. Now the threat of Zevi. It's going to be taken out. He plays aggressive inside a hut. Gafolo now activating the op, able to find these multi-kills. And now somebody on the CT side needs to be able to prevail. Art's able to find the double, but no chase. He's not able to find anything on the door. I don't know how they knew he was there, but my goodness, Sharks.
The thing is, they can see a little bit of a foot there, but I was more saying what, because I don't know why Che doesn't react to anything. He just kind of stares at the wall and doesn't move his crosshair. That should be a couple of kills for them to potentially pull that back, but no, it never happens. Gafolo has a little bit of a round. Point and click shooter for him. And he gets through with that AWP. A couple beautiful entries for him. On the other end of the equation, sure, Fluxo go up to a 6-0 start, but their economy is in tatters. Art has a hero A1S, and so does Lukowski, but beyond that, there's nothing to really write home about here for the defense.
Well, I'm glad that the 3 timeouts have, at least been able to guarantee a little bit more of these opening duels. They're getting themselves now, 2 rounds in a row, and look at how much different they're playing. Even Colax is able to find himself that double kill. Now we're starting to see them play a little bit more lights out. Now they're starting to make these connections. I mean, I know this wasn't too much of an investment, but now things are looking a little bit more pretty for the, for the Sharks. And now we're putting 3 rounds in a row. A triple Q here for Colax, or actually a quad, I should actually say. And now the scoreline is getting closer and closer. And now Fluxo realizing, okay, you know what? Maybe we need a timeout.
Yeah, I think now is the best opportunity for Fluxo to call it. They can understand that this game is slowly falling out of their grasp, or at least this half. I mean, starting off 6-0, you're thinking, okay, this should be a stomp, especially after Nyx's 1v2. But there's still a little bit more to be played here, a little bit more to this tale on Nuke.
Yeah, they only take the one timeout as well, and now with the 4M4s with a MP9 here for Nyx, so it makes me wonder if Nyx is going to be a bit more aggressive, maybe potentially with a rifle like this, or a weapon like this, I should say. I'm not too sure, but it looks like he will be playing on towards ramp, which does make a lot of sense, and possibly the double boost, they will. Okay, so they're going to, have him kind of be potentially just committed here on ramp by himself. That way they can kind of push these numbers around. Now they've already lost Lukowski, so this is already a really big, deficit they're taking early on in the round with 1:29 still remaining. Art getting a bit more aggressive. He's able to maneuver the smokes. He's able to find himself a little bit of that trade back. And this position from him, this is not a great spot because, again, he has nothing to bail him out. He's stuck there. Yeah,
a bit of a one-and-done situation for Art, but he's feeling very confident right now, and being 15-4... I don't blame him. He's got Zevi to back him up at this point, moving into Unbreakable. So The expectation is he takes that first contact on the cross, and then Art can swing out to collect some more frags. But he's stationary. Cafolo is trained. He's aware that that angle is a possibility, but Art's not giving up anything. Silently goes Sharks into the secret stairs.
Ooh, Zevi. That's some intel. That's definitely some intel, and they're being quiet. Now he's just been able to communicate this. Look at this from Art. Looking from Art. He might be able to backstab them, but he's only going to be a one and done like you talked about. But at least he got that information. Now he even knows the bomb was there as well. So now the plans have changed just a little bit more here for the Sharks. Koala waiting things out. Posted up here. Inside of Hut, waiting things out. 13 seconds, though. They have to get moving once again. And now, Zevi, he's able to stop something here, and the time is just running out. Look at Nyx. He's able to come through the vent as well. And they just run the clock too low, and Fluxo are right back into winning ways.
I mean, they're just taking far too long to get through the phases of their default. I understand what they're trying to do, and for the most part, the fundamentals of what they're trying to do make sense, but they're waiting just simply too long in positions that are, frankly, very dangerous to sit in for long periods of time. I mean, you're sitting at the top of Secret Stairs in Big Red for 30 to 45 seconds, and by the time you're actually splitting into A, you've got 10 seconds left on the clock, and you have no idea whether there's a rotation coming in from lower. You have no idea if there's still a player in the back of the A site, and they basically have to suffer the consequences on both ends. That is a round that the Sharks really should kind of jumpstart them to realize maybe we need to start picking up the pace here.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely need to see the pace getting picked up just a little bit more, but round 11 we go. And now, ooh, I was thinking maybe Art. I mean, he's been playing outside a lot, but now he's actually putting himself a little bit more in this position here. Ooh, interesting molly. Unfortunately, if he would have thrown that just a little bit more left, that could have changed things. Look at how much aggression he's putting onto this. Him and Jay now, they're going to fight for this lobby control. Koala's able to find himself a nice little bit of a quick kill, but now, okay, now the Sharks are starting to see some blood in the water. Now they're starting to get these kills in their favor. Nyx might be running into a bit of a trap. The Shadow giving a little bit of exposure. Pepe goes for a pretty big shot prematurely, but now it's just down to Nyx and Zevi. They have to be the saving grace here, and they have 4 players to go against with 40 seconds remaining. So now Sharks have some time to work with, but is it going to be enough? Zevi only gets the 1 kill. Nyx by himself, and honestly, he's got to wave the white flag, and he's just got to call it quits.
Yeah, that is a very discombobulated lobby crunch from Fluxo. Again, right idea, just incorrect execution, and you have just a couple of players trying to take contact when it should be a team effort. Sharks pick them apart. The angles are too much to clear, and essentially in that situation, Sharks get gifted a 4th round. Zevi did try his hardest to maybe get a second shot off and pull that into a winnable clutch for Nyx, but this time it's not to be the case. Sharks will climb up to that 4th round, and Fluxo will have next to no money to defend that final round of the half.
Yeah, and these kind of rounds are always, you know, for CT side, it always gets to be really sticky, right? I mean, this money, it just sucks. Like, I mean, Art, I think he was sitting at about 3,500 before he spent a little bit on that armor, but what do you want to go with this? I mean, you can do the MP9s. Honestly, probably in my opinion, I would take it over for Moss personally, but, you know, that way you still have extra cash for the utility and even a kit potentially for somebody. But yeah, it looks like that's actually what they're going to do. They're going to use that 1 AK from Nyx. MP9 across the board here. I don't even think they have a kit. No, they're just going to gun it. Oh, they're getting aggro.
Smokes and a flash will have to do the trick. And these MP9s. Art has been so dangerous with this gun in his career. His position has been completely undetected. He'll find the first on the dock. And I unfortunately don't think he's going to be out another kill. Surely not. Yeah, there we go. Dinks up the other way, and Zevi is now hot under the collar as he falls with nothing. Just some damage on a Pepe, and with all this commotion outside, Koala has an opportunity to go trouncing out into the A site. Man, Che has had such a rough time in this game trying to deal with all of these angles at all the various times that Fluxo CT side is just stretched so thin. This is a situation where I think Sharks can take a pause and see if they can punish a player. And here's that ripe opportunity. Chase should go down, and he will. And that should be the A side open for business.
Yeah, and I like that attempt from Che. Like, I mean, again, you have to try something a little bit different. You're down in the numbers, but, you know, unfortunately, just the wrong place, the wrong time. Now the Sharks are going to be able to have themselves the upper sight, going to get the plant down. Lots of players remaining, so, I mean, we are in the last round, like we said. So this is kind of a do or die here for Nyx and Lukowski. They have to be able to find something. Double flash is available for Lukowski, so might be able to try set up something for Nyx, maybe. Potentially, you know, just allowing him to get out of this tight position of heaven. But now the time is ticking, and like I said, they don't have a kit. Now they're going to be grouped up instead. Bit of a switch up. Last second, Flash is going to be raining underneath. Pepe just not going to get caught on it. Not going to matter at all. And that's going to be a 7-5 half as Fluxo will get themselves that lead on the T side. We'll see in a bit. All right, welcome back. We're ready to go, and this is the second half, and now Sharks have been able to find themselves 5 rounds on the T side when it was looking a little blue at one point, but they brought things back, and now they're on the comfort zone to the CT side, and Paladin, they got enough juice in the tank to get this thing done?
Maybe. Off the back of those 3 timeouts from Sharks, they have an opportunity, but Nyx ramp is his domain very clearly as he finds a quick double opener. An opportunity to get a quick bomb plant on this B side means that the real opportunity here for Fluxo to start on the right foot, but Doc with the double. Doc with the triple, and now it's all up to Zevi, and he's nowhere to be seen on this B bomb site.
Oh dear, yeah, and I think a defuse is going to come through, but again, there's no kit, so maybe maybe for Zebi. You know, maybe he's able to find something. There's a lot of these guys are really just scouting things out now. Now the defuse being commenced, now has to make the appearance, has to go for the fight, and this is all over. Yeah, there's no way. Surely not. He's waiting things out too much. Thinking he put a bit of a fake on them. Maybe they're all going to swing, but no. They're going to be able to get the defuse and get the pistol. And honestly, what a very impressive showcase here from Doc, able to get himself that triple. And that's something they needed, right? I mean, we needed to get something activated in the pistol round on the CT side. That's where we talked a lot about their comfort.
Yeah, again, I feel as though they still took too much time in that retake. And there was a real world where Zebi should be able to clutch that up. But yeah, you're right. At the very least, they are still securing their CT side haul. There's a real opportunity for them to even close this game out. Force Spy comes out for Fluxo, considering they were able to get a bomb plant. Nix drops over a Galil or an AK, I believe, to Lukowski. So they're trying to get their X Factor player off to the races, but we chose him as our Kidia player to watch, and he hasn't been lighting up the scoreboard as I would have hoped.
Oh, and look at Gafolo. I mean, oh no, the timing! Oh no, he turned his back at the worst moment, but Koala's able to get the trade at least, so crisis averted just a little bit. But again, a really unfortunate situation. Losing a rifle like that is never going to be fun, especially with the rounds being this close. But Lukowski now into hell, waiting, and Koala might get the timing. He does. A little bit of a saving grace for him. He's able to get that done, and now Nix creeping through onto ramp, and Zebi, yeah, not a chance in heck. I mean, he's going to get the crossfire, and this is just falling apart player by player. And I mean, I think for the Sharks, if they can keep the 4 alive, this would be great. Koala not making it look easy. He's definitely going to take a huge amount of damage. But in this kind of a position, he should be okay unless something from Nix comes through on a spam. It'd be absolutely filthy.
For sure.
So much patience, though. Like, this is, again, like, I think for Fluxo, I mean, in this situation, I'd like them just to save these guns. Like, they got the M4. They got the Galil. Honestly, in my opinion, I think a Galil stuff definitely can still bring a lot of a packing punch on this. Okay, now he's got an AK, so there you go. So, even better. Even more of an upgrade. So, these guys just going to save these guns, and I think this is a good note for them. Oh, man, I was thinking Nick's playing in some scary grounds on the playground, but he's fine. And now we're back to a tie game.
Ooh. Now this game gets interesting. Fluxo will be in a very awkward purchasing situation, and they are going to buy down. I don't necessarily know if I love this, considering there's already enough of a bank on the Sharks' accounts that, I mean, even if they do win this round, there's still another buy to go, so there isn't really any ramifications other than Fluxo wanting to do a little bit more damage with the rifles that they've been given.
Yeah, and Zebi actually equipping up the Scout as well with the full armor. Don't mind this. But, I mean, again, just a very default setup right now. Just hoping to find something. You know, just spamming through smokes. Just, again, trying to burn as much utility as they can for the CT side. Ooh, wow, Art. I was thinking, what are we doing here? But, okay, things are fine. Lukowski getting ready potentially for the molly to go into back of sight. But we will be switching things up now. And it does look like maybe, just maybe, they want to go for... I was thinking maybe the hut push, but now instead it looks like a couple players looking to entertain the idea of ramp. Utility is a bit lackluster here, right? I mean, the double flashes on Lukowski with that molly. So he's the only guy sitting with a utility in this. So, I mean, this is important. He has to be able to support his teammates some way, somehow. And even look at Koala. He's in a good position here. He's going to get this information. He's out of here.
Yeah, smartly played from Koala, not trying to overextend the situation, but Nix does find a very important frag onto RDN. This is on that top site. Still bolstered this bottom site with 2 players. Koala is found out. Zebi finds another banger of a scout headshot, and Art chimes in with the A1S. So the awkward purchase from Fluxo does work out, and now it's Gafolo and Pepe's turn to go on the save.
Yeah, really, really surprising too. And honestly, I love that, like you said, the shot from Zebi. He was able to, activate the scout like that. I wasn't kind of expecting a quick shot like that. I mean, that's the thing about the Scout. I don't feel like it's underrated, but I feel like it's not talked about it enough, right? Like it's definitely, it's lethal, man. Like it's quick. You can get those good shots and your movement, just you're speeding around. So I love that Zevi still went for it. And I mean, like you said, the awkward buy is going to pan out nicely for them. They all 5 are alive right now, and they're able to pick up a couple rifles to add more insult to injury as well. And yeah, it's a good way to get yourself back in the lead.
Yeah, again, I spoke about the repurchases, and actually, I mean, with it being single loss, it's an awkward decision that they have to make here. They can purchase down with MP9s if they want to, but it would be a bit of a risk. They are going to go through with it. Pepe will opt in for an XM, which is interesting to say the least, but we're going to have some weird wonky buys for a little bit before one team decides to bend the knee and take the save. But for right now, we're just going to get some messy Counter-Strike, Laz.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we talked about in the pre-show, right? We said, look, when these teams, like, play each other, there's so many different things that can, arise, and, the games are just, it's on paper, it's never just going to be what it is. Oh my God, I thought Art was able to get it across inside event, but he makes it inside. Now he will finally get himself in there. So that's some really good real estate, but again, Gafolo having the right place here, taking him out. So that threat's going to be removed. And that's the top fragger here too for Fluxo. Zevi with a close behind here with the 12 and 9. Koala playing a different angle on this, and now should be able to get out. Flash going to be placed, so at least he can get himself a little bit more time. Fluxo going to be grabbing this ramp control, but the question is, what do they want to do with it, right? I mean, this is where we show Sharks, they were struggling to get, anywhere past ramp when they had it.
Yeah, they're not extending the issue down into the B bomb site, but they're making Sharks ask questions. They're going to hold strong on this top side, and Pepe, he's in the perfect position to utilize this auto shotgun. There is absolutely no way. Okay, actually, yeah, his foot's been spotted, but he cannot go down. Pepe lives on 16 HP, and that's just enough HP to allow for his teammates to come in. Nyx doubles down, and there's Zevi. Hold on just for a moment. This wonky buy still has a little bit of legs to it. Nyx upgrades to an A1S. I think he might have been able to spot out the player on Mini. Real opportunity for him to work in. There was a lineup, and the flashes are good too, but nothing connects for Zevi. And in this 1v2, I don't think he has it in him. He does take out the low HP bar of Pepe, but how does he get rid of Gafolo? He knows Gafolo's off of it. It has to be a 10-second defuse. There's no way he can actually stick this bomb, but he's going to go through with it. Still a couple more seconds left on it, and looks like Zevi has actually stalled this round out just long enough to win out the 1v2. How in the hell do Fluxo pull it off?
Oh, man. I was thinking, too, like, man, if he had a kit, that probably would have been over, right? I mean, I think he was counting, but again, that was really close. But like you said, the fact that there was no kit, that allowed him to have that extra time, and that's the thing, that's the punishment you get when you don't purchase the kit, right? I mean, that's where you can't really stick it like that. You have to kind of commit to the plan, or you either have to go for the swing. And in that situation, Zevi played that perfectly. He was able to just, buy them time, and now we're at a 9-7. Paul's going to come through, but once again, I mean, these rounds are getting closer and closer. It was so dominant for the first 6, and then all of a sudden with the 3 timeouts in a row that you and I were criticizing, it looked like we're in a totally different game right now.
Yeah, definitely so. We have a little bit of a tech timeout as we try to discuss what has gone down so far. It does feel as though Fluxo are just figuring things out here on the fly as to what the CT side of Sharks is throwing at them. And they won that very important round to shut down these wonky buys from Sharks. And they're definitely not for saving this one. That means we're talking double digits on the cards for Fluxo. And a lot more momentum to go in their favor and to potentially close out this best of 1. We favored Fluxo pretty heavily on this map specifically, but Sharks are slowly starting to ramp up.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I think when we were, I think we both kind of landed on that like 60-40, maybe 70-30 for Fluxo. I think that was a big basis about, the T side. And honestly, like when we saw that 6-0 for Fluxo when they were on CT, I was like, uh-oh, this is this might not be a 60-40 anymore. This might be more of a heavy lean, right? But honestly, the fact that Sharks were able to bring it back to getting 5, that was huge. I mean, that was something I was never expecting, because that game looked like they had no sort of an idea, no game plan. And then all of a sudden with those timeouts, they really just revitalized themselves and look a lot better. So now that they're on the comfort side, we're on the CT side, where they do have a stronger win percentage. Not the greatest, let's add, right? I mean, it is like a 52.3% win percentage, but at the same time, it's better than their T side. So I think this is a little bit more of that comfort. And again, we talked about, Sharks, they have been able to take down some decent teams on a map like Nuke like this.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious to see how this more favored side for the Sharks looks now they have the new roster. So far, the newer additions look pretty decent. I mean, I thought Pepe held the top side long enough. Koala's doing some solid work off of ramp. It's really that outside control that I'm most questioning when I look at what Gafolo can do. And he's going to have to do a hell of a lot with very little, considering he's just got that AK and pistols, stock pistols at that, to help around the outer yard.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing too. Like, when you have one player with a rifle, like you said, Gafolo is definitely going to have to do something big, right? I mean, he's in the position where he has to make the power play, essentially. He has to be able to find something to get some opening here for the Sharks, be able to find a gun or two for his teammates, and then they have to worry about the aim punch. But no, they're going to worry about HE grenades, because they're just going to get dunked on. So now Fluxo, instead of, winning duels with guns, they're just going to win duels with utility. And now the guns are starting to sing a little bit more here, so this round might be a little bit quicker than what we expected here, Paladin.
Yeah, this is much more like it. Gafolo never gets to even shoot off a bullet of this AK-47, meaning that Fluxo and Sharks will be happy with the situation. At least I was thinking so, considering Gafolo might be able to hold on to this AK, but he's looking for exit frags, considering he'll probably switch over to that AWP in the round following, saving 3,900 in this one. But Nyx is heavy to search for some kills with this SMG. Not going to turn the corner, but Gafolo, he's got the tripwire headshot. And Fluxo will climb up to 10, and they only take the one singular casualty of that Mac 10.
Oh man, they barely survived that too, but I mean, yeah, picking up the Mac 10, a little bit of utility. I mean, this will still be something to bring into this. Doesn't look like they're even going to bother with a Mac 10. Instead, they're just going to commit the rifles. Again, I mean, it's always a question for me. Like, I mean, I wouldn't hate it if they would have kept it. But, I mean, I think for this, the situation they're in, they're down by 3. We're in a critical point here around 18 where they need to be able to find something. So I don't hate this. I just thought maybe the Mac 10 could have been a decent thing just in case, playing a bit more of a close angle, finding a kill. It's just going to add a little bit more coin in the pocket here, especially on the CT side where things are not going their way. And now look at Art. Once again, he's going to take a ton of damage. He's going to get himself finally barreled through into vent. He's able to find himself actually a decent positioning. This time he's not going to get taken out. The last time he did this, he was a dead man. So this is actually a pretty interesting play from Fluxo.
Yeah, keep your eyes on Art to see what he's actually going to get up to as far as this round goes. He's gotten all the way to the secret stairs, hoping that he can punish somebody outside, but everybody's tucked in into angles that are not punishable at this point. Nothing in mini, at least for the time being. Ardian is aware that that split could come in, but Nyx very keen on running through this A site. Sevi should be able to take things out, and he takes out Pepe. RDN falls, but Doc from the heavens does just enough to keep Sharks involved in this round. Arc now can start getting involved. They still don't know where he's gone off to. Gafolo has a little bit of an inkling, but the timing is just a little bit off. There's Koala to strike again, the second player up in the heavens. And now it's all onto Zevi. High-low setup available for the Sharks. This is going to be a hard one to disassemble for the Brazilian Opera. But he's got his crosshair trained. He knows that there's a player around his area. He finds the crosshair, but it just goes a little bit awry. Doc is there to capitalize. And a huge round there from the vet to get Sharks their 8th round.
Yeah, I like that attempt too from Zevi, right? I mean, you can see that he was, just making sure that the swing wasn't going to happen on the left-hand side of the silo. I like that he just snuck himself, in front of it so that he doesn't get spotted from heaven. So there's a lot of good efforts he did there. I don't love that angle that he went for that fight. I thought maybe he would have tried to play a little bit different on that, but honestly, a very good attempt resulting. It didn't work out for them, but that really could have changed things around because that was just that split moment for the 1-1. Now nades are going to be thrown once again, just going to push back this connector player, putting a little bit more pressure on this round. A deep smoke getting thrown from the CT side. That's actually going to allow Art to get through, and there it is. Art's able to get an entry, but he can't get the job done into Koala. He's critically low, but now some trades are coming back through, and there's that kill, a little bit of redemption, and Fluxo, despite them losing, round 18, they've been able to make a bit more of a statement on this one.
Yeah, they want to try hard to move into that A bomb site and punish some of these newer players like Pepe, like Koala, and they get their bell rung and then some. Smart counter-strike from Fluxo to push the issue and try to break down these weaker walls. Still a 2v3, however. Doc is still alive, the hero of the round previous, and still has an opportunity to do some damage in the 2v4. But 50 seconds left on the clock. Fluxo are greatly favored, especially considering all this map control that they have. All of outside, Lukowski will be able to enter into heaven. Surely Doc is just traded out in mini, and they split onto A.
Yeah, Doc's in a position where he has to be able to find this double kill. He needs to be able to find something, but look at it. A good read for Nyx, takes him out. Gafolo now in a position where, again, you're not going for anything. There's 20 seconds left. You don't have a kit. Your utility's not going to be great. You're going against 4 different players. So in this moment right now, Gafolo really just needs to keep that off. And honestly, for Fluxo, I wouldn't even hate if they try to go for a bit of a hunt on this. And I think that's actually potentially the idea, maybe with one of these players, just to find maybe this kill. Because if they do, I think for Sharks, it's just, again, going to be in a situation where they're not going to be looking too pretty going into round number 20. But I mean, it's all a question. He's able to find this. Oh my God, the timing. Look at how much ground Zevi's about to have on this. He might actually be able to find this kill, Paladin.
Oh, and now he's getting split from Nyx as well. Now Gafolo will have the timing. He hits the shot necessary. Nyx, oh, here we go. Yeah, that's the issue, is that he's still pretty near to that A bomb site. That any sort of damage that he takes, it will have consequences, and he just gets cut down little by little from other ends, and he'll fall to the bomb. So Fluxo, they managed to get rid of all the weaponry in Young Sharks' arsenal. They have themselves quite an easy layup of a round in round number 20. And sure, it was grueling, but they're looking to still rectify this pick of Nuke and secure themselves this map victory.
Yeah, getting closer and closer now, and a little bit more of that streak that we were talking a little bit about here for Fluxo. Now look at how aggressive they're going to get. They get this free inner sight, and they just load the kill feed so quick and ferocious, and I don't even know how many seconds that was. That was way too quick, and we're already on the map point. So now Sharks needing, 4 rounds to push this thing into OT, but man, oh man, do they have enough, gas in the tank to get this thing done?
You'd like to think so, especially with the momentum that they've been given, but Sharks, this is last chance saloon as far as Nuke is concerned. AWP out for Gafolo, and nearly every piece of utility you could ask for the CTs, but Art's got a MAC-10, and whenever he's got an SMG, you don't want to get it twisted. He's going to be swinging for the fences, comes out of all of that smoke, and Mirage trying to get himself an opener, but he hasn't been able to, and instead, I mean, Fluxo are just confused as to where all these players are, and same goes for the Sharks. Art still gets the entry, still has themselves an opportunity. Nyx finds one outside. There are 3 players down into the B site. The bomb is being planted in the lower site, and somehow, some way, Sharks are in a 3v5 deficit, defend themselves in map number 1.
Yeah, they're probably just, again, that's the thing about Nuke. You can get so many quick rotates, just kind of like that, maybe, but now it's all down to Pepe. A 1-on-3, but just not meant to be. But Fluxo would be able to get the job done here with a 13-8 victory. And looking a little bit dicey in the waters in the middle of that game. But honestly, Fluxo, I love that they were able to just, kind of bring things back, putting a little bit more aggression onto this. And honestly, I think Art played a really, really good game. I mean, I like the style that he brought into this, being the entry. He was just getting really aggressive, getting in their face. And I really do think that was a really key thing of success here.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Art when he first was breaking onto the scene with Furia. When you think about all the way back where they broke like a Prime Astralis' nuke streak on this map. The reason why is because they couldn't understand where Art was on any point in the map, no matter whether it's T side or CT side. And that was exactly the case in this map today, where he's all over the outside control, he's all over the inner sight on the T side. It's awesome to see. We still have to look at our Qiddiya player to watch of Lukowski. Wasn't the most flashy game from him. I'm expecting a little bit more out of him on Mirage, which is our next map. And I think that's where he does some incredible stuff. But for the most part, I think he did it just enough to get it over the line today.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he kind of sits in, I think it was like 71 ADR, not too bad of a KD ratio and things like that, but I don't feel like he kind of, was able to pack that punch that we were kind of talking about in the beginning of the game. But either way, it's still a victory for them. It was still a way for them to get themselves done here with the best of one. So that's going to conclude this game here. But like we said, we're just going to take a very short break as we get locked and loaded here for the next best of one that's about to be happening. So don't go too far. We'll be back for another bit more of action with these two teams. See you in a little bit. All right, well, I promised you it'd be quick, but we're finally back. We're ready to go for the second best of one here with Fluxo taking on Shakrs, and we just finished things off on Nuke, and now we get to go through a different map and a different scenario here. And it's myself, Laz, and of course, Paladin, to bring you through this action one more time here in the South America region.
Yeah, excited to get into it. I mean, it looks like our Veto will end us in Mirage, which is a map that I think is pretty fair for both sides. I'm still going to be leaning Fluxo's way for the main reason that I think that Lukowski does some crazy good things on this map. I think Zevi gets into a flow state on this map. The individuals that I could celebrate are just elevated that much more so on a map like this. That being said, their win rate isn't the best. They haven't gotten the results they'd be hoping for, but individually, I do still feel like I'm giving them the edge like 9 times out of 10. I feel like on the Sharks end of the equation, there are too many pieces that I would consider supportive elements. When I look at players like Pepe and Koala, these guys have been brought in to kind of bolster the supportive side of this team, but the stars haven't been able to pop off as much as I'd expect them to when I'm looking at players like Gafolo or Doc.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think too, like, again, like we talked a lot about, some of the players on for the Fluxo side, and Lukowski was kind of the player to watch, things like that, right? I mean, still is, but I mean, I'm curious if we're going to see anything different a little bit here for Sharks, because like you said, I mean, this matchup really is on paper dead even. Like, it really is like as close to even as we can have here in terms of like win percentage rates. But I think I would still lean the favor on for Fluxo, in my opinion, just because I think they looked a lot more polished, a lot more composed in their game. And I think we got to see that there is a bit more of that, foundation that we talked about. And I think Art's done a good job of like building this team a lot more. And like we said, they're now on a 12 match streak. So it's looking like they're on a bit of a winning ways right now, Paladin.
Yeah, very excited to see if they can make that lucky number 13. I mean, it'd be really cool to see if they can get to that point. And for the most part, again, I am looking at Fluxo and I'm saying, do you have what it takes to win in any sort of situation where your confidence is compromised? When you look at how they were playing in Nuke, they had the 6-0 start, they lose a lot of ground, they look actually down and out to potentially just lose the map outright, but they find a way to dig deep. Art finds a way to win no matter whether it's through the team or through himself, and finds the necessary frags to open up the round, get enough pressure onto the Sharks squad, and then eventually you notice that like they just run out of steam. Sharks don't have any game plan to bounce back, and it all falls apart right before them. So to me, I'm seeing Fluxo develop and adapt as time goes on, and I still favor them to win in a game like this against Sharks, regardless of win rate, regardless of statistics. I'm looking at cohesively, this team looks above and beyond what Sharks is producing, at least to me right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think there's, no doubt right now that I think they're definitely being able to present a little bit better results. But I mean, this is the thing where we are a Mirage. That's where this, best of one is going to land on. And this is where, it is kind of that, I don't like the expression puggy map, but I think it's just a bit more forgiving, I think, in compared to other maps, right? So that's the thing here where I think it does kind of add a little bit more of that surprise here. So I'm still keeping an open mind. I still would probably put this, like, for me, like a 60-40 if I was going to, really put any sort of emphasis on it. But Fluxo are going to be on the T side. We'll see what they're going to be able to find. And I mean, it looks like they're not messing around on this. It looks like they want to commit to this A hit. They have everybody committed on this. Everybody split apart. Pepe, oh my God, his timing couldn't have been worse. And I don't know. He's able to get out of this. He will. A good smoke placed here. I thought he might have been a dead man, but Fluxo now realizing they have to kind of park the brakes just a little bit more. Now they're just going to try to reaggress through it. The dualies are going to be able to land some kills, and finally gets put down, but now the Glocks, they're able to get something started here, and this is just a full-on brawl. And how do they win this many fights?
I mean, what a weird round for Fluxo. They should never be in this kind of a position in the 2v1. I was going to say recover the bomb, but that's not to be. RDN has a chance at a clutch here to rectify the wrongs of Sharks, but he gets gooshed, and Nyx will be able to get that bomb down. The nade does not go where it needs to blow open that smoke. And now RDN, with just this Molotov, has to make do. Oh my goodness, this round is on a knife's edge, and Nyx will close out the round. Fluxo get themselves the first round on the board, and honestly, I mean, you smoke off A, you give that early warning sign, Sharks rotate in, and you throw your Molotov in front of your own smoke. That was just absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering about that too, because I was going to ask you, like, I didn't know if that was intentional or if maybe that was just the wrong angle and they were still kind of just attempting it regardless, because I thought the same thing. I was like, well, why would you throw that molly there? Like, you're going to only have so much room to work with. The idea, I guess, would be is, you know, the pistol player is not going to be able to push aggressively, but still, it felt too much of a gamble. And now, Art, once again, he's playing a little bit with a gambling situation too. He's running in blind. He will get taken out. These CTs are just going to go one by one out of the clown car, and it's already over. It doesn't even matter. A quick, done and dusted round, the cost of Art's life, but at least now they can have that comfort of 2.
Yeah, and they run up the bank accounts a little bit as well on the way out. Full A1S setup for the young Sharks. I'm curious to see what kind of tempo Art wants to set on this T side. You don't want to get this guy cooking up a storm again. And so far, very keen on taking a very forward approach to mid-control. Gafolo out the gate straight away will take out Lukowski, the impact player I was looking for. That means Art will take the next contact. Koala rises up to the occasion. He takes out the in-game leader of Fluxo. And this early opening gambit, this unbridled aggression from Fluxo doesn't pan out the way they were hoping to.
Yeah, I do like that they're trying to put a bit more of aggression on this, though. I mean, despite it doesn't really work perfectly for them, but I do like that they're setting this pace, you know, getting a really good tempo on this. But again, you got to give it to the Sharks. Reacting really, really well to that situation was everything you needed. So the fact that they're sitting, you know, 5 alive, you know, the cost of Koala's health being at 45, but that's not really too much to worry about. He's still definitely on the field. He's able to get things done, but now the question is for Fluxo. I mean, they have a smoke available here for one of these players. Now that's going to get burned into window. But where do they want to go? Because again, they don't really have a lot of real estate. They have this mid control, but it's going to be a bit dicey for this one, right? Now the stack's going to come through window. And Nyx, I mean, he needs to be able to stay alive on this, but even qualifying this kill, it's just worse to wear now, Paladin.
Certainly. So Zevi does find an opener back, and so does Nyx. Hold the phone. There's still a little bit of room to maneuver for Fluxo here. Nyx feigns the window drop, and oh my goodness, right idea, just isn't able to capitalize, and that could have been the round in the palm of his hand. Unfortunately, that isn't to be the case. Koala will capitalize, and Sharks, by the skin of their teeth, will nab themselves their first round on the board.
Man, that would have been so crazy if Nyx was able to get that. I mean, like you said, there was the right idea. It was just within a second of timing, it just fell apart, right? And I mean, that was the right play, because then that could have changed things around just a little bit more. Yes, his teammate got dropped pretty much in that same moment, but that still would have gained him a little bit of control and kind of removing that option. But either way, Sharks are able to get themselves back on the board here. A bit of a scrappier purchase, I would say, here for Fluxo. Scout going to be purchased for Zevi. And instead of kind of just aggressing into mid, they're just going to aggress into this A site. They're going to try to test Pepe. He's by himself. He's taking so much damage, and he's finally going to get taken out with the spam. M4 is trying everything they can, spraying frantically through the smokes. Now Koala trying to get a little bit of a peek through, but look at that. He's going to get dropped, and look at Fluxo. They just win all these engagements.
And this was that excitement aspect of Fluxo on Mirage that I was trying to talk about in the pregame, that their individuals can genuinely just take over rounds. I mean, that was just all unbridled aggression, looking for duels every which way. And this time it's not even Lukowski, it's not Art or Zevi, it's Che and Nyx, the more supportive players on this squad, to rip open that defense for Sharks. RDN cannot get involved in any sort of way. He'd love to hold on to this AK and full belt of utility, but these T's are slowly encroaching upon his position. His position will be noted momentarily. I don't know if he's long for this world.
Yeah, not looking great. Not looking like a great position. That Molly's going to make it a little bit worse, but yeah, not going to make it. But again, honestly, it's one of these things where we're seeing Fluxo. They're in these tight situations where I feel like in most circumstances, Sharks or any other team would be able to find these kills and getting the frags in their favor, but I don't even get it. It's like through the chaos, it's like Fluxo just, they light it up, man. Like the light bulb just kind of bings, right? And then everybody's just hitting these shots. Everybody's getting the space that you don't think they have. And you got to feel for the Sharks. That's just such a devastating round to lose.
Well, now We've got to bear the brunt of that consequence with smear pistols. They're already up catwalk. Lukowski is just so keen on running up to this point of the map. Pepe's weapon collection should have been heard by Art, and it'll be dealt with very swiftly. Doc now, his shoulders have been spotted as well. Zevi is there to deal with that. RDN ticks in a Molotov. It was heard by Art 1000%. Here comes the perfect flashbang, and RDN will get nothing. Very clinical round there from Fluxo. Still very keen on aggressing down into the catwalk with force and quickness. And it's up to Shakrs to try and slow that down. Otherwise, this will very quickly run out of their hands.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is where their CT side, this is more the bread and butter, right? I mean, a 55.6 win percentage on this, where, you know, I think for, you know, a team like Fluxo, this is their weaker side as well. I mean, a 48.9% win percentage on their T side. So, again, like, you're kind of, you know, the weaker side is already getting, you know, some really big lead on this. So it's definitely concerning a little bit here for Shakrs. But again, they were a team that started really, really slow. Things are starting to pick up maybe just a little bit more as Doc, you know, starts off something maybe a little bit, but it's an instant trade. Now Utility's starting to make some good connections here for the CT side. And now players are starting to drop like flies here for Fluxo. Making it to the 4-on-3, the advantage in terms of the manpower right now for Shakrs, but it's a question of how long, maybe. And Art with a really good positioning. And I don't think RDN actually would have spotted that with the light or anything. So Art's in a very unique position. And if he can find this kill paladin, this really could tear it up.
Yeah, that's the big question. Does RDN clear this close angle? It is definitely a high possibility that this could be the case. But nothing being shown just yet. RDN still keen on holding onto this position. At this point, I think he's more looking at catwalk and if there's a run up there, but that's the kill that's going to start moving these players around. Koala tries to catch the fallback, and he does. Up to Che and Zevi on the site itself. Oh my goodness, there was a real opportunity where Zevi just dies, but he lives to tell the tale. They're going to try to double swing Che, but Zevi finds one on the way out. It's all up to him to defend the honor of Fluxo in this round here. He's made it all the way to Archer. There's no way Koala can spot him, and through the side of the boxes, Zevi chimes in with that A1S, and Fluxo maintain the lead at a 5-1 scoreline.
Well, and that's the thing, man. Zevi's just been playing so well, right? I mean, he's already sitting at that 8-2, and Che's right there as well with an 8-3, and that's a huge clutch because, again, like we saw before, like that was on Nuke where, you know, I think it was Nix, if I'm not mistaken. He was the one that was able to get the 1-on-2. Now it's Zevi that's able to, you know, really come down to the wire in the 1v1 that honestly didn't look good for him. Like, he was already spotted. I thought he was a dead man, but he got the flick of the wrist and got something moving a little bit. Now you can see a bit more of the scrappy purchase, the hero rifle for Shakrs, keeping the 1M4 pistols with deagles and 5.7s, limited utility with a flash and an HG, and they're just going to re-aggress into this A site. They don't even care at all. The pistols are doing a little bit of damage, but they're not able to find these kills. Art's already down critically low. But even Nix now, he's just kind of lurking. And finding this kill, I mean, that might just cause the rotate to come through on Koala. You can already see he's repositioned himself. Free gun, though, so not a bad note here for them.
Well, plan will come through. RDN should be able to save this AK-47, and that would be the ideal situation, especially considering he's got Kevlar as well. Koala will play the exit game. But another very strong early start from Fluxo, getting to the 6-1 scoreline in 7 rounds played, or in 6 rounds played, is, or sorry, yes, 7 rounds played, is really important. I think, again, doing it on the offense is also really something to hang your hat on, but now they've got to close it cleanly when they're at this sort of a position.
Well, now, I mean, it makes me wonder a little bit. Oh, geez, and even the bomb radius takes him out too. So,
wow.
Oh, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. I mean, this is okay. So we're kind of right back into deja vu, right? I mean, the slight difference is Shakrs does have a round on the board, but this is where we saw Shakrs do the triple timeout, 3 in a row. Maybe no, they're not even going to call it. They're going to commit to this. They're going to have the guns out. Gafolo does have the op as well, so again, for round number 8 right now, we need to see something different from Sharks. We haven't seen them aggress in mid. We haven't really seen them, you know, play any different. They've been playing a very standard setup. So I feel like now this has got to be the moment they try something different, surely.
They take significant damage to start off the round, and Art is already out of ramp. He's there alongside Che. I mean, how does he make it all the way to Sandwich at a minute 30? Is Young Sharks aware of this sort of situation? It's really all on Pepe to figure that out, but he's tucked it just slightly enough that Pepe will never be able to spot him out. 5v4 as Zevi finds another kill in middle, and there you go. Pepe just gets absolutely sideswiped, and the A-side anchor has fallen.
Yeah, and even Gafolo, again, just playing on cat with the op, he's able to find that connection, but it's not even going to matter, right? I mean, that's just a little bit of a low-hanging fruit, getting an easy kill, but I mean, this moment, the bomb is going to come all the way through T spawn now, and it's going to make its way into this A site. But, I mean, this is now the Sharks, again, in the same water where they have to save. Like, they have no chance on this. They have to keep that up with that utility, the armor. There's so much investment for both these players. They can't sacrifice this. So, again, you know, for Fluxo fans, this is a really good showcase of them. They're just making very quick decisions. I love that aggression from the, like you said, I think that was a really good point you brought up in the highlight of the player already in Sandwich at a minute and 30. Like, that should never happen. And like you said, Pepe just sideswiped and he had no idea. And that is tilting, to say the least.
Certainly so. And, I mean, Fluxo are still so hell-bent upon taking away these guns, and Art again with an impact frag at the tail end. Gafolo's up, hits the deck. RDN will have to hang back and mark it and watch as that gun taken away. Has an opportunity to chime in. They will. No gun saved once more for the Sharks as Fluxo march up to a 7-1 lead and surely can confirm themselves an 8th. I say that. With max loss bonus, there will be potent buys, at least for the time being.
All right, well, we're still making it through round number 9, and once again, Sharks, they need a miracle, and oh man, do they not have one at all right now. It's just going to be Fluxo once again opening things up. Having double players into Palace like that when Sharks tried to do something different, I love that they tried it. I was giving that criticism saying, look, we need something different here, boys, and they tried and they get punished for it. So it just nothing is going their way, and Fluxo, I mean, now putting themselves on the cusp here of getting this 8th round, you know, despite, you know, an MP9 and a 5-7 D goal on the board.
What can they do? I mean, at this point, damage control isn't really a thing that they can do. I mean, you look at the economy on the other end, 8K on Chase, 7K on Art. It's a tough ask. I mean, at this point, you need round wins on this defense. Not being able to string anything together, you've got to rely upon these deagles, these pistols to get it done, and it's going to be the SMG of Koala to find an answer back as Lukowski goes down, but connectors being split upon. Pepe's position is noted, and surely he's a dead man walking. Yeah, he's been spotted in underpass, and he won't get anything to speak of. It's just RDM coming in from that B bomb site, and Fluxo will march themselves up to an 8th round with 4 men alive in this one as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think there was a really good point that I think both were talking about that I just want to bring back, is I think, you know, I was saying this map, you know, on the paper, you know, it's pretty close that both these teams and their win percentages, but man, I've been more impressed here with Fluxo. I just feel like their system and everything just looks so clean. Like, there really hasn't been much that I feel like we can pick apart, right? I mean, this is, most rounds have a lot of players, mostly 3 alive. I think the odd time we've seen that 1-on-1, things like that, but I love what we're getting from these guys. There's really good trades. They're getting that map control quickly, and it just feels like such a dominant force right now. And I don't feel like I've seen something like this on Mirage, and I think for you and me anyways, being on the desk for quite some time. Yeah,
certainly. It's a very awkward situation to be in if you're Sharks. But, I mean, hey, they can get 4 rounds, who knows? Round number 10 spells very important round. Capolo will have his AWP to try and find an answer, but it's a 4-man lean towards the A bomb site that they're just so worried about a player like Art getting into their crosshairs, but it's window that Art moves into instead.
Yeah, and Art's been in this position quite a few times, and I mean, again, they're going to
wow.
double up. Oh, I was wondering if he made a noise cue, though. Maybe not, but I was thinking Art being in this position's a really good spot, but look, Halsey now has to be really, really careful on this, and Art's, oh my goodness, despite the angle from Koala, Art's able to prevail on the kill.
Nobody ladder, meaning this window control is very firmly in the favor of Fluxo. Pepe is taking matters into his own hands as he pushes into the A Palace. Doc will shut down Art eventually, but I mean, there's all these ideas festering for Sharks, and it's all timings that are available to these players, but Che is there to punish. Gafolo is still aggressive in A main. 30 seconds left on the clock. All these different timings have to coalesce at some point, and it's got to be now. It's got to be through connector, and Doc will not find anything. Now, it falls onto the shoulders of Gafolo. Oh my god. I mean, oh my god, they're going B.
Oh god, and it's already end too, right? I mean, he's just sitting in the back of empty. So again, he has to do something big. He's in the driving seat. He has to be able to be a big wrecking force. 7 seconds, has to make this connection. He might be able to buy them time, but no bodies hit the floor. Just when you think the time management can go the other way, they just can't seem to buy around.
And that one's just unfortunate. That one is just slightly off the mark and stalls just long enough for the cavalry to arrive and the trades to come in through the smoke. Fluxo are just on another level right now, and Sharks have just been sent reeling. I mean, in that round there, it wasn't anything fundamentally insane from Fluxo. It was just very well played in terms of the actual individual head-to-head duels. And now, I mean, this round is a non-starter for sure, but if it gets up to double digits for Fluxo, surely this map is just over and done with.
Yeah, I know, definitely. And again, like I was kind of talking about, this is the weaker side for Fluxo, but I don't think that's the case. Like, it really just isn't. And, oh, Art, if you're gonna, okay, he's not gonna be able to find it. But, I mean, he gets some good control on it, but it's the cost of his life, cost of a gun, but look at how awkward this positioning is. And actually, finally now, Sharks, they put themselves in a 2-man advantage in some time. Doc now coming through the back lines, might be able to find this in time. This is interesting positioning. Zebi, a little bit of an awkward little bit of positioning by himself, but despite that, I mean, it's a 4-on-2. Smoke's coming in, they're going to get thrown pretty deep, and Chase somehow, he's able to win these fights. What is going on? And now it's a 5-7, and that flank, it's not going to mean anything at all. And there it is. Double digits are going to be secured here for Fluxo. Man, they got a horseshoe right with them right now.
Yeah, that is honestly the best phrase that you could use to describe this game right now for Fluxo. They genuinely are on cloud 9 with that kind of luck factor in their favor. But it's this orchestrated chaos that makes an art-led team very exciting. Final round of the half, as Young Sharks will have one final purchase to speak of. But at this point, it's just to have any sort of honor in this game. Art's going to go swinging for the fences, and that's a little bit of a bold take. He gets punished straight away by Gafolo, and Fluxo look to try and battle back in the 4v5.
Yeah, okay, so this is a good start. Again, now Sharks are, you know, they're finding these engagements early on now in their favor, which is a good thing. Now this makes it a little bit better, but again, it so far in this game, like we said, it really hasn't made the biggest difference, but it is something, right? It's something positive to work with right now. These nades going to get thrown from the CT side. Nyx is going to get pushed back just a bit more, making his presence known. He's just, again, just trying to bite them in a little bit. Like, Halsey now gets himself into connector. Flash getting thrown above. Look how much aggression he puts onto this. I was thinking he might have tried to do that silently, but no. Now the tables have turned just a little bit here for round number 12. The man advantage here for the CT side. Molly going to get thrown. And is it going to be RDN? Can he be able to find himself a kill? He will. And now Nyx needing to come alive. Needs a big clutch. And it's just not meant to be. But it's going to be a 10-2 half. And we're going to take that quick break. and we are ready to go for the second half now on Mirage. 10-2. Fluxo showing us a dominant, one word to use it, for T side, and now switching over to the comfort, the nice loose pants of CT side, and Young Sharks now, they got some work cut out for them.
Oh yeah, let's see what the Sharks have in store, because it's going to have to be a hell of a T side to make this a competitive game. A B execute on the cards for the Sharks as Chase spots out one, flashes in, here come the cavalry, and Che is gone. That means Nyx has to do some magic, but Doc, flying Glock. Sure, the luck had to go the other way at some point, right?
Yeah, ain't that the truth, honestly. And I mean, a flying Glock shot, sure. I mean, that's something to spark something a little bit for Sharks. And yeah, now they're just taking this thing by storm. Art's probably going to be a dead man in a matter of seconds here. Look at the sandwich. Oh, the knife. Oh, he can't land it. He's still looking for it. Oh, and Art's just on the other side of this too. And he was entertaining the idea as well.
Oh, that was goofy. That was so goofy. But at the end of it all, Sharks live to fight another day. There's still a little bit to speak about in this game right here. If I'm Fluxo, I take the full save and I get the guns out in the following. Do not let this team get warm and try to run this gauntlet all the way back. But screw what I have to think. They will force either way.
You know, it's funny, we go on these rants, we're like, yeah, no, they're gonna do this, and then they're like, nah, we're not doing that at all. But you know what, let's see what they have in plan. Let's see, maybe they really are some masterminds on this one. Double scout though, interestingly enough, and I don't hate it. I agree with you. I think I would have rather preferred they save and just put the guns on the board, but hey, whatever. And I mean, now you see Sharks getting themselves into connector, uncontested, a little bit of a shoulder shot here. Now the scouts are starting to make some connections. Art, actually, is it getting these damages? Okay, yeah. You know what, Paladin? They know something. They definitely know something we don't know. And all of a sudden, things have turned around, and it's all down to Koala, and he's on a 1-on-4, and he's got nothing to work with.
I will say the dangers of the scout is that if they get hits off, or even if the pistols get hit off, it's a one-shot confirmation for these scouts, and I mean, they worked that round perfectly. I mean, the bait and switch setup with a player in ladder and window and in con, it is just so difficult to deal with if you're the Sharks, and they just go around chasing ghosts, thinking that there's only one player in certain positions, and when they turn the corner, there's three. It's so hard to come up against that kind of a force buy, and Fluxo played that beautifully. It's a little bit of a pocket strat, but they find themselves 11 nonetheless. And now they're knocking on the door of closing out the map straight away. It's just pistols for the Sharks, as Koala will try to sell something on this A side, and Sharks will try to execute on the B end.
Yeah, and I don't mind this. I mean, they got to do something here, right? I mean, they're going to have this execute. Nades are getting thrown around. The bomb's actually going to retreat from this plan, so it's a bit of a fake, a bit of a ruse, but again, I don't know. This isn't really selling it, because look at the positioning right now. You can see even for Fluxo, they didn't really sweat too much on it. Ooh, look, Howsy. Oh, that's a little bit greasy, a little bit gross. Not looking good, but here it is again. A scout coming in. Oh, Zebby, uncharacteristic miss. I mean, a tough shot to make, and look at the HP. I mean, you're sitting just under 70 between the two of these guys. Not looking great. And now... Oh! Okay. This is weird. Okay. Okay, things have turned around, Paladin. I don't even get it anymore. Fluxo red hot, and now they're looking ice cold.
Yeah, talk about overextensions. I mean, they still need the bomb and connector, and they're going to try to double up and get to that point. I'm not sure if Che understands that they are in connector. Surely that sound cue was given, and Che shuts it down on the 1v2. That's beautifully done. My goodness, was out on a knife's edge, but Sharks can't get it done.
Again, I'm gonna go back to what we said, the horseshoe, man. These guys are so lucky right now. It's like you said, like I was thinking, okay, Che's looking at jungle. He's turned away from both these players. It didn't even look like he knew. Like you said, it almost felt like he had no idea. And then I don't know, he gets the right timing. That last like millisecond, he just turns back over, gets that double kill. Boy, oh boy, Fluxo are, you know, they just must be so ecstatic right now with them just getting these many rounds, and it's so frustrating for Sharks. Like I feel like they're not even necessarily doing the wrong things.
Yeah, definitely not. They've had a good understanding of what needs to be done, but they just can't do it. And now in the 3v5, it's a Hail Mary, execute, hoping that something is going to give way, but Lukowski does not miss a beat. Zebi chimes in for the final frag. It is an absolute demolition on Mirage as Fluxo get a 2-0 victory in the series and look to continue this incredible match streak.
Yeah, and honestly, what a turn of events, right? I mean, we were talking about Nuke was a lot closer, and then this was just full domination. And honestly, like we said, I mean, I feel like a broken record on this, but this map, I felt like in the vetoes was not a bad situation for Shakrs. Like, I thought Nuke was interesting. Mirage, I thought, was a decent little bit of a matchup as well, but I don't know what Fluxo did for preparation, but it was perfect. I mean, their game plan on the T side, it looked like a phenomenal T side, only losing a couple rounds was 2. And then their CT side, a little bit more greasy in a couple moments, but honestly, not much to sweat about. They look like they had this game in full control the whole time.
Yeah, it's time to see if Fluxo can make the next jump up in Brazilian Counter-Strike and start defeating some more competitive rosters like your Red Canids, like your Imperials, like your Pains. And only time will tell. I mean, of course, MIBR has yet to play as well. That's another roster to fear. But I mean, for the most part, signs look good for Fluxo. I'm excited to continue to see the development of this roster, and I definitely think Shakrs still need time to iron out all the kinks of their new one. But we're all done and dusted here on the South American stream for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And when we come back, we will have North American Counter-Strike for you in not too much longer.